Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode 3 of Dcast De Deux. I am your host, Mr. Squid.
I'm Jacob.
And I'm Pawn.
Yay! Yeah, the whole gang is here. And we totally didn't have any problems.
Yep, no technical difficulties whatsoever. Everything right first try. Let's go.
Yeah.
We are professionals. But
the
not really.
professionals. Anyway.
I actually want that to be our name now.
But
whatever.
Yeah, vote to change our thing. Anyway, so this is a podcast about Princess Tutu. Who would have fucking guessed?
Wow, it's episode 3, and I'm certain nobody who is listening had realized that yet.
No.
Are we gonna release this before episode 2 just for the memes?
No, I would like to also address that episode 2 was in fact delayed, and that is just because our god is he was a little bit busy, so he couldn't put it up in time. But it's okay.
I'm completely unaware of the situation, but that's not important.
No, it's okay.
Dunce has been overworked.
Poor boy, the poor boy.
Poor Mexican Chad.
Okay. The episode
we watched 5 through 7.
We
watched 3 episodes this week.
Yeah, you know how in the last episode we said, and even in the description it said, oh, we're just watching 5 and 6. That was a lie. We decided to do 3 episodes this time.
It was an elaborate ruse.
We wanted to get to the good stuff. Like
the
Mythos
meat.
nipple.
I will get to that. We'll be there soon. So, if you're listening and you didn't watch episode 7, pause, go watch it, and then come back, or don't, or just unsubscribe and give us a thumbs down.
You should watch it though. There are nipples, as I said earlier.
Okay, true. Okay, so let's talk about episode 5, on the night of the Fire Festival. Anyone want to go first, or?
I have a note from close to the beginning of the episode.
Go ahead.
Sure.
Which is just about how, we get a little bit more characterization of Cat Sensei, starting with this episode. We get, this episode starts where he, there's sort of a joke where Duck accidentally ends up like asking him what the Fire Festival is when she didn't realize what was going on. She got a little bit carried away, but then he just tells her anyway, even though he's mad. He just tells her anyway because that's his deal, right? He's the romance guy. This is his deal.
Yeah, that's his thing. Way into it.
He's still sort of a meme character, though. Well, I say sort of. He's still a total meme character.
Total meme.
But
he's a good meme, not one of those shitty memes.
Yeah, there are lots of good meme characters. The 2 girlfriends are good meme characters. The cat
PK and Lilie.
When were they named?
They've been named a few times.
I don't believe you because I like them a lot and I always pay attention 100% when they're on screen and I never pick that up.
Listen, episode 4, like right at the beginning, Tutu calls them by their name.
Were you watching the dub?
Yeah.
I didn't watch the dub.
Yeah, I watched the sub, so that's probably where it got lost.
God fucking damn it.
Lost in translation.
They say PK and Lilie in the dub a few times.
That is interesting.
You can't read, right? That's why you have to watch the dub.
So.
All right, so we were talking about the cat.
Yeah.
So the episode starts off. There's this ballet troupe showing up in town, and they want to put on Sleeping Beauty.
You were on the wrong episode.
I am? Jesus fuck.
We're talking about episode 5, about the Fire Festival.
I'm sorry, I'm sleepy.
Fucking retard!
Oh no, that's a loaded word. We have to cancel everything again.
Demonetized.
Should we just get it over with now? Just say all of the loaded words.
No. That's not appropriate.
I don't even know if I could think of all of them.
Just start like dropping chinks, you know.
Hey, remember how this podcast is about Princess Tutu?
Chink is a fun word, though. That's a word that I like to just use. It's fun to say.
Oh,
Yeah,
my god.
There was a guy fired. I remember there was a guy fired. He was making.
Hey, this is not insufferable social media argument podcast.
Argument.
This is
argument,
fucking
not...
Prince. Fuck off! This is fucking Princess Tutu.
All right, so progress the podcast. What happens next in the episode? We get the scene with the class.
Words.
We get the fucking scene with Fakir and Rue in the library, and Rue is like a cold bitch. Like, damn, son.
Yeah, the two Sasuke's are going at it.
It's a Sasuke on Sasuke fight. Pretty fucking intense.
I feel like over
finally
the course of these episodes, the softening up of Rue, like the making her more likable thing, that happened in, was it episode 4?
Yeah, like 3 and 4.
Yeah, that sort of gets completely undone. Like,
yeah.
Now she's just full on Sasuke.
I don't know. I will disagree with that.
Yeah.
Because I think I don't know. We'll get to that.
I
will say something that
Okay, go ahead.
Definitely Rue is definitely becoming a lot more cold-hearted, but I think that's because she's worried she might lose Muto. But we'll also find out another reason why she's starting to act like this. But even then,
she seems very possessive and manipulative.
Yeah, but even then, she's like that. But it's like when Duck starts talking to her, she gets a lot softer again, because she definitely doesn't hate Duck. I think she, in fact, likes Duck.
Yeah, there's a couple of times where she almost seems to like lash out at Duck, but then when Duck like defends herself and just kind of like explains something, like Rue will listen and accept it.
Yeah, which is really nice. We also learned that Fakir is the one that found Muto and actually gave him his name, Muto.
Yeah, that's pretty neat.
So, we'll learn a little bit more about that later. Yeah, I also wanted to say that Duck is just such a force of positivity in this show. She gets depressed, but she always picks herself back up pretty quick, and she's just infectiously nice to everyone. Even when Fakir is being, like, rude to her, or, like, kind of freaking her out, she's still like being nice, and she's very strong-willed in what she cares about, which I love.
Yeah, I've always really admired people like that. People who are just, happy and are like super willing to express it outwardly. And
yeah,
she has that manic retard energy that I love from my protagonists.
Yeah, it's a great trait. And also we start to see that Fakir and Duck are having a conflict right now, and it will be further developed. And I think the whole story that's gonna go on with Duck and Fakir and their kind of own fight between each other. Fucking thanks. Between each other, it'll be developed even more, and I think it's one of the best aspects of the show is their relationship, is how they change how they feel, like how they treat each other by the end, and how the changes they go through as characters because they start to come together.
Yeah, I've watched up through episode 13 now, and you can definitely see this evolving relationship between them as their values change.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Fakir over the course of these 3 episodes he's really all over the place in sort of the viewer perception of him. Like in episodes the first 2 of these episodes, it's like he comes across as like, okay, this guy is basically the main villain outside of Drosselmeyer. And then by the last episode, it's like, okay, this guy is probably actually sympathetic, and I've been tricked this whole time.
I really wanted to talk about how when Princess Tutu finally appears in this episode, so far, every time we've seen Princess Tutu, she does a pas de deux with someone to try to get them to understand their feeling. But this time, the person, the lamp ghost person, she doesn't want to dance, because that's not what she's made for, really, and that won't help her. So we learn that Princess Tutu, just doing a solo, can also have the same power as a pas de deux.
Mm-hmm.
So this kind of was an episode kind of about the power of one and believing in oneself, and how you have to self-reflect about the problems you've made.
Yeah, and it's sort of like the lamp lady sort of was able to self-reflect as a result of watching other people, right?
Mm-hmm.
And how Tutu's dance was so full of joy, and that made her realize, I've been looking at things the wrong way.
Yeah, this was also the first, I'll say, like, air quotes, enemy in the episode that really wasn't doing what they were doing out of malice, because we find out that the emotion that she holds is, Muto's first positive emotion, affection.
Yes.
Um...
And that's going to be a big one for him, because now he can start thinking about the people in his life.
Yeah, and how he feels about them.
In a positive way.
Yeah.
Although it does, I feel like Mito is saying that, like, he doesn't understand what the emotion he feels towards Fakir is. And it's like he's saying that right after he gets affection back. So it sort of feels like, oh, well, Mito is not affectionate towards Fakir. And as someone who doesn't know where this story is going, that sort of informed my opinion of their relationship, and it made me perceive Fakir as being, like, probably villainous. Though I think that does get somewhat turned on its head by the end of things.
Mm-hmm. Oh, the scene where Muto and Rue finally meet up, and it's like the festival is over, and it's like she was kind of upset that she got kind of left alone, but Muto comes and he doesn't care about the competition or whatever. He just wants to dance with Rue, and we see him actually smiling for the first time.
Yeah, I really like that scene.
Yeah, it was very sweet.
Mito really puts the swag on for that scene.
Yeah, it was really good.
Yeah, we do definitely start to see that now, that Muto has values. He does really like dancing, and he likes dancing with Rue.
Mm-hmm.
And then we see when he smiles, that is the first time that he smiles, because finally he has this positive emotion that he can understand.
Mm-hmm.
I really like Rue's face right before she sees him smile, where she's like kind of got these like half-lidded eyes, where she's like very in the moment. She's very affectionate towards him as well, but then when she sees him smile, she gets scared, because she knows that means his heart is coming back and that he's going to start slipping away from her.
Yeah, because we learn that what's her name? Rue fears about one of the reasons why Rue didn't want Muto to get his emotions back is because she just loves him so much that it was easier to keep him with her when he was emotionless. So she thinks that if he starts getting his emotions, it's possible that he might start to hate her or, like someone else and not be with her,
Mm-hmm.
which is a very important conflict in this show.
By the way, I'm just gonna refer to Mito as Mewtwo for the rest of this podcast, because I'm not. That's what I hear every time his name is said in the subtitle is Mewtwo, so that's his name now.
No. Banned. Banned.
Okay, I think the only other thing I wanted to bring up from this episode is we explore how Duck actually feels about Muto a little bit more.
Yeah.
Which is to say, she doesn't even really understand why she likes him. Like, towards the beginning of the episode, she sees him in a very princely outfit, the one that he's gonna wear to the dance.
Yeah.
And she thinks to herself, like, oh, is this the real Muto? Which is a very strange statement. It's kind of, like, superficial.
Yeah.
And you can tell that she only really thinks that because she doesn't really understand who Muto is.
Yeah, she doesn't know what Muto she's in love with.
And that's something that she starts to figure out over these episodes.
Duck just loves him. Duck just loves him for his nipple.
Oh my god. Okay. This is gonna be the fucking Muto's nipple podcast. Thank you. Jesus Christ. For more context, he was in chat like an hour ago typing about it. What a fucking loser.
That was the first thing I saw in the episode, and it just stuck with me, It's one of those, critical moments in the series where everything
Absolutely.
changed.
Do we have anything else for this episode?
Talk about something else while I die.
I have a note that I can't remember exactly what the fuck that I thought. I know it was a very good thought, though. I have letting go of people. I can't remember exactly what I meant by that, but it's
No, I understand.
Something probably that you Duck wants her beloved to be happy, and she's willing to
at the end.
herself.
At the end, when she sees Rue and Muto dancing together, she's like, "This is the way it should be. She should just be helping him, but." She's starting to accept the fact that she will probably never be with Muto.
Right. It was something like that, but it was more relevant to the lamp, where, like, the lamp kind of had to accept the fact that she wasn't as wanted anymore, or something like that.
The people who previous loved her left her, and she
had to kind of learn to accept that. Which I felt like was a very relevant theme to the greater story, but I can't remember exactly what I was going to say about it, which was something pretty good. Believe me, I'm very smart.
Yeah, and I think part of that is because once you can accept letting someone go, you're able to let more people in. So I think that's the idea of it. Which is also a character development that Duck is going through right now.
You're less scared of losing someone, so you're more willing to, let someone in without the fear of losing them. It's narrative parallels. They did a good job.
Yeah, this is a very good episode. And it just gets better from here on out, guys.
Yep, alright, so the next episode opens, and with the little storybook intro in the beginning, kind of introduces this concept which begins to get explored over the next two episodes, which is, with the idea of Sleeping Beauty, nobody really asks whether or not she was happy being asleep and kind of blissfully ignorant.
Yeah.
Yep. And obviously the parallel for that is Mewtwo getting his heart back, whether he really wants his heart back.
Right.
Yeah.
Because that's something that nobody's really asked him yet. Yeah,
and that's gonna be a question that will be explored more. So this is the first time we get to see professional ballerinas in this show, which is exciting. We meet a ballet troupe that travels around doing apparently only Sleeping Beauty.
it's an electric eel, a gay dude who's for some reason in a straight relationship, and his wife.
What makes you think that he's gay? How?
Because
what way?
he has some pretty deep emotions, and he says some real smart things, which are just completely uncharacteristic of normal straight men.
Yeah, and also his voice actor was like really, really triggering my gaydar, if you know what I mean.
Well, I think this is gonna be a thing. In the English dub, he's just kind of a basic, deep voiced man. So
yeah, I think Jacob is telling tall tales. I didn't get that from his voice at all.
Maybe it's because Jacob's gay and he wanted to fuck him.
Oh man.
I mean, why else am I talking about nipples?
#exposed. For
Wow.
once, I'm not the one being exposed on a fucking podcast. Amazing.
Squid wants Nate's dick.
No, I think he actually watches this podcast. Don't say that.
Nate.
No.
Squid wants your boy pussy.
No.
I think it's the other way around.
It's the other
Anyway.
way around. Okay.
Duck talks to what?
I wanted to say something very important, that we learned that Muto doesn't hate Fakir. It's pretty obvious by how he acts with him that no, he doesn't hate Fakir. But his emotions right now are definitely confused, and he doesn't know 100% how he feels about him. But it's definitely not like, it's definitely not a negative emotion, but we don't know if it's positive.
Not a purely negative like malice or anything.
No,
it's just kind of, he doesn't have the feelings to really describe it yet.
No. Okay, what were you gonna say?
Okay, so Edel says something really good when she talks to Duck here, which
Adel.
is
It's Adel.
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 It's pronounced more like Edel in
The Japanese.
The sub, whatever. So Adel, okay, so Duck says, like, it's just so sad to not have a heart, and then Adel says, is it sad for Muto, or for Rue, or for you?
Yes.
Which is, again, the theme that, does Muto really want his heart back? Is it sad for Rue because Muto can't love her the way that Duck feels like he should be loving Rue? Or is it sad just for Duck because she thinks it's sad?
I thought that was a meta comment, that it's not necessarily sad for any of those people. It's more sad for the audience, because that conversation was very meta, right? She had is that the one with the gems, right?
Yeah, I think so. The one where she pulls up, these all these feelings that could drive a plot, and then the last one is just author's convenience.
Yeah. It's dream, hope, adventure, mystery, author's convenience, or artistic license.
Yeah, this story really has some, with Adele and Drosselmeyer, some great meta moments talking about, how the story is formulated.
I mean, in that sense, like, Duck is almost the audience here, because, Muto and Rue is, like, the main relationship right now, and Princess Tutu is also a part of that, but Duck isn't even really sure if she feels like she completely can claim to be Princess Tutu. She kind of expresses a lot of times that she feels like Princess Tutu is almost a different person from her.
So you're saying Duck is being cucked?
Yes.
Duck is a cuck.
Mm-hmm. Duck cuck. # ducked. Duck cut.
It's a good thing we all have pop filters with these Ks we're dropping.
Sure. Yeah, I have one of those. I don't record on a fucking cell phone.
Somebody else say something good.
All right, so we talked about the sort of meta conversation with Edel. The main plot of the story, though, revolves around the prima ballerina lady, and her sort of stage fright is, or her knowledge that she won't. Yeah. That she's not quite talented enough to be that sort of like super elite prima ballerina girl, or that she doesn't like have it. I don't really understand what her problem is.
Her problem is something like, so she saw this professional and very, very talented Aurora when she was younger, which is what made her want to be a ballerina and just play Sleeping Beauty, I guess, every time. As we have established, their troupe does. They exclusively play Sleeping Beauty for some reason. And so with this woman, she feels like she cannot perform as well as the Sleeping Beauty that she saw as a child, and she's not entirely sure what it was that made that one so much better. It's some kind of like dreamlike quality that she can't really grasp.
Yeah. So this episode is really great because it's the first time we established that Duck is the one to basically fix her problem. But not just by herself though. So the lady, she's charmed by Duck's natural aura around her, this fun that she has. She comments, she watches Duck dance, and she comments she's not very elegant, but she has his own individuality that's special about her, and you can't take your eyes off of her. So
yeah, so the manic retard energy, like I was saying.
Yeah. So it's established that Duck has her own qualities to her, and basically because of this, the lady starts thinking more, and with some advice from her husband, she kind of solves her own problem.
Mm-hmm.
Which I thought was great, because it gives more power to Duck as a character in herself that, she, even though she didn't realize it, Princess Tutu is not some kind of fix-it-all crutch for the show or her. She has the power to do it herself.
This character was like a strong-willed character who just needed a little bit of a push, pointed in the right direction, and then they can fix it themselves, which I think is, fairly unique. Most of the time in episodic series like this, the protagonist comes in and they're super fucking badass for one episode, and they save everyone who is completely helpless. But in this one, it's just sort of like we have this, strong professional character who's feeling sort of down and lost, and the protagonist just shows up and say, hey, you're pretty cool, and they almost do it accidentally. I think that's great.
Yeah, it's definitely a subversion of the magical girl tropes. I definitely think this is something. This kind of feels like it was a scrapped episode of Sailor Moon. Honestly, like this is something that one of the writers from Sailor Moon wanted to do in an episode, but they wouldn't let him because it didn't fit with the formula of the series.
I wouldn't know anything about that.
Neither would I.
Yeah, well, I just know fucking everything, so, believe me. 'Cause in Sailor Moon, it's like, this is a Sailor Moon episode, basically. It's, Usagi doing something, meeting a brand new character. The character gets captured or caught or something by whatever the monster of that week is, turns into Sailor Moon, fights the monster, somehow uses the skill she learned from that person in that episode to beat them, to outsmart the monster, uses the special power and wins, and you learn a lesson and everyone goes home. And that's what it is. And so, because of that, if it weren't for those really good character episodes that they had every now and then in the series, Usagi would be a fucking horrible character, because she would just be boring, because she would never grow or change, and it was like, Usagi isn't special in any way besides the fact that she can turn into Sailor Moon, which is again the idea that the magical girl and the character that turns into the magical girl are two different characters, which is, I think, is a weak point in any show like that. Because you shouldn't separate them, you should have them together, but acknowledge the differences a character can have, but you shouldn't make them so weak when they're just a normal person that they can never do anything. that's why this episode could have been like an episode where Usagi can't turn into Sailor Moon for some reason, and she's able to solve the problem herself as a normal person by like just talking about it, or like, you know, showing that person to change her mind or whatever, and somehow that defeats a monster or whatever.
Yeah.
All right.
Because even
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so where were we?
Wait,
So-
I also wanted, again, with the whole Duck versus Fakir conflict going on, they kind of get forced to dance together, which is
Oh yeah.
something you never knew, and their dance is very kind of violent and angry.
Right. Fakir's kind of throwing her around a little bit.
Yeah, which is totally wrong for what they're supposed to be doing. It's supposed to be the prince and the princess in that role, but they still have a good flow, you know? They like,
Yeah.
you know, I don't know if it's like an involuntary thing or like, but they work together and they dance just fine together. So
Yeah, they do still have a certain amount of chemistry. It's just that right now Fakir is trying to kind of express a little bit of aggression
yeah,
to
and
her.
scare her off, you know.
Yeah, Duck had obviously some janky bits where, you know, she was like, you know, bent in awkward ways.
Wrong.
But it still like, it also felt like it progressed. Like most of those weaker moments for Duck felt like they were at the beginning, and she sort of gained more confidence as she went along, and that's a recurring trend.
Yeah.
Whenever Duck dances. But yeah, it felt like, you know, Duck was forced into this scenario, but she held her own because she's so, you know, she's
Strong-willed.
Strong-willed. She's got that strong energy.
Yeah, but it was still pretty cute, and I really liked the dance. 10 out of 10. 10 out of 10. Also, the emotion, I really like... The battle with the emotion was so interesting, because it's like, because the emotion is fear, and it's running away from Duck, and, Tutu, I mean. And so, he's like chasing her around, and, you know, he actively tries to like attack her, but, you know, he's, you know, she almost sacrifices herself to stop him, and, you know, without any words in that scene, he kind of just accepts it and, you know, turns back into the shard and goes back to Muto. But then, because it's fear, Muto starts flipping out, and Duck starts to doubt what she's doing.
Love that.
Yeah.
Like, just the moment when he starts screaming is just amazing.
It is.
Because that is by far the most emotion that he has expressed yet.
Yeah, definitely outwardly, you know, in front of other people like that. And also we see that Fakir definitely cares about him, because he immediately takes him away, and he's like, "What's wrong? It's okay, I'm here," you know?
He gets really worried.
Yeah.
You can sort of feel the weight, like, as Muto kind of immediately, all at once, just has the ability to recognize kind of the absurdity and the just like levels of dangerous things happening to him. Just all at once, he has the ability to understand what's really going on with him, and it just freaks him out so much.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
I was definitely getting some Ava vibes from the Mito's freak the hell out scenes, just with like...
Oh, okay.
I completely understand what you mean. That's a pretty good comparison.
Like Shinji in some of the more psychological fights, like, I don't remember the specific fights, but like where he's just got his head in his hands and he's, you know, losing his mind at the absurdity of
like the end of the second episode, I think, where he kind of sees what the Ava is for the first time.
Yeah. Yeah.
I actually thought more about the scene towards the end of the series. I think like 10 or 11 or something, where he's like stuck inside the angel and he's alone and he starts freaking out.
That's the one I was thinking of, for sure. There's also a scene that visually reminded me of Ava a lot. I don't remember whether it was in this episode or the next one, where Mito is like lying down and all these like red lights start like stabbing into him and like coming out of him, and
that's the next episode.
That's the next episode. Okay. Well, that one just like screamed Ava to me. Like I don't know if there's a direct parallel, but I just saw that and I thought this is ripped straight from Evangelion. This is something I would see in there.
Yeah, well, this is a post-Evangelion anime, so that would not surprise me.
Mm-hmm.
So let's go to the last episode, which is a huge bomb. The next episode is fucking nuts, so let's get into it.
I feel like I actually have the least amount of notes for this episode because I feel like most everything happens towards the end.
Rue is really fucking hot when she's in her her magical girl form. God damn.
Yeah. Princess Kate. I really wanted to say that, we finally we see Duck, she's like having like a nightmare about, like is what she's doing wrong?
Right,
like
because
it never occurred to
she
her.
just saw Muto freak the fuck out.
Yeah.
And she's suddenly very concerned because all of this, does Muto really want his heart? Suddenly she's thinking, I guess not. Oh no, what do I do?
And she's like, maybe I shouldn't do this and I should give up on being Princess Tutu. And of course Drosselmeyer, tries to come in like, no, you're gonna ruin my story. But he like completely fucks up and she, Duck does throw away her charm and she just turns into a normal duck again.
Yeah, Drosselmeyer can't even pretend to be a good person for like 30 seconds.
No.
He keeps dropping all these like, I am actually a horrible villainous bastard hints like every 2 seconds.
Yeah, she's like, why did you pick me to Princess Tutu? And he's like, 'cause it would be fun. Oh, no, because you're the only one who can.
You're the chosen one. You're so special.
Yeah, but Duck isn't stupid enough to fall for that and sees through it.
Mm-hmm.
Also, for the first, what do you call it? A bumper. The bumper for this episode was different from usual, because usually it's just, the Nutcracker song and Drosselmeyer fucking around. But this
time...
time...
because we've already seen a lot of Drosselmeyer, it's just, it's Cat, right?
Yeah, it's Mr. Cat waiting at the cafe for Tutu to come, because she accidentally said that she would marry him in the beginning of the episode.
Oh yeah, I totally fucking forgot about that.
Poor Mr. Cat.
There was some really good comedy scenes towards the start of the episode, and that just sort of like got lost on me because of, obviously the end of the episode.
Yeah, everything else that happens.
Shit goes down.
But Mr. Cat is seen at the cafe right at the end of the episode too, so.
Yeah. You just throw that in there like, oh, hey, that's still happening, by the way. I mean, I know you just had all this bombshell, but don't forget...
Mr. Cat.
The most important character.
Yeah, absolutely. The most important character. Spoilers, he saves the day. He literally saves everyone.
I think the most important character is Rue's cleavage when she's in her magical girl
She's
form.
14!
So's Yoko.
No!
So's, like... Asuka. 14 is legal age in anime.
Hashtag sex with the young.
There's a bit earlier in the episode where Duck approaches Rue on the bridge, and that's where we can see some of the kind of dynamic between them, where Rue clearly does like Duck at least a little bit.
Yeah.
Because we have... What? Duck says, oh, don't worry, I'm sure Muto's gonna come back to school soon, and then Rue's just like, why? And she's like, I mean, I'm sorry, I didn't think very, I didn't think about how you would feel after I said that, I'm sorry. And then Rue is just like, oh, alright, I accept your apology.
Yeah, it's cute. It's cute! Everyone in the show is cute!
They're all such good people.
Was that the scene where Rue was talking about how much she loves Mito?
Yeah, that's the other thing. That's, because, I mean, Rue came to this bridge to sort of sort out her feelings on Muto, right? Because she's not certain how she feels about him getting his heart back. Because she knows it should be a good thing, but she also knows that that is liable to make him drift away from her. And so then Duck, like, asks her something I forget exactly what it was. All I know
don't
is that...
you think Muto should have a heart?
Right, Duck just asks her, and when Duck asks her, Rue realizes, she's like, well, you know, I love Muto either way.
Yeah.
Which is important for her.
Definitely. That was a great scene. Really good scene. Ah!
Loving
episode.
Mewtwo either way feels sort of shallow to me, though. Like,
really?
She doesn't even she doesn't even necessarily want what's best for him. Like, how is that really loving?
Well, this is kind of like a fairy tale thing, where it's you love them no matter what.
That seems really unhealthy.
I'm sorry for the non-realisticness in this fucking anime.
We're still in the phase where we don't know if Muto is better off having his heart back or not. So for Rue to say that she loves him either way shows that she does care.
So it's probably
no,
better
it's not.
I'm joking. We can assume that he's better off having a heart. Most people are.
Yeah. I also wanted to mention the fucking CGI water face. The worst. The absolute worst.
Was that supposed to be a face?
I hate that thing. Yeah, the face in the water.
I guess it did have eyes. I thought it was just like,
No, it's creepy.
Yeah. I mean, the whole like curiosity character feels pun you cut out. The whole curiosity character feels very cute though. The super curious
it's definitely more playful than something menacing.
Yeah. And the other ones have felt like like either depressed or scared, and it's sort of like pity emotions, like emotions that you would pity, whereas this one it's very endearing and cute, and it's like a little kid who just wants to know everything and ask all the questions.
Yeah, and they talk about that in the little storybook thing at the beginning of the episode of a kid asking questions. I wanted to mention Princess Tutu, usually she has to dance with someone to make them understand their feelings, but because she's going through such a turmoil and she doesn't know what to do, she dances to try and understand herself. So they're always doing something new with the metaphoricalness of the dancing in this show. With every episode, there's always something different with it. You know, how last episode we get how a solo can be strong, but in this one we get you also dance for yourself, not just for others.
I might be misremembering, but didn't she dance at the behest of Mewtwo? Like Mito wanted her to dance with him. She didn't want to dance, but then he asked her, will you dance with me? I actually want my heart back. Was that this episode?
That's a little bit later. So what it was is Muto was captured by the emotion in this episode, which was what's the word for it?
Curiosity.
Yeah, curiosity. And Muto starts asking questions too, and this is like the questions fucking episode. Nobody really knows what to do or how to feel, and so Tutu dances to kind of gain control over the emotion again, and not only just that emotion, but also herself. But Muto basically got the emotion back by himself by talking with it, Well,
Mewtwo's always been very inquisitive, right? I've felt like he's always been asking, what is this emotion that I'm feeling? After he started to get the pieces of his heart back. So, yeah, it's weird that this would be... Maybe he's just a super inquisitive person and he can never fully lose that. But yeah, it's weird that he was able to get that back without actually having the red stuff put in his put in his nipple.
We can talk about that after.
We don't need to talk about the nipples.
No, we
I'm just
do.
joking.
No, you've been
Do we need to
hyping
talk
it
about
up.
the nipples?
No, yeah, we do. You've been hyping it up.
Okay.
I just want to say, so in this, our doubts are settled, and it's confirmed that Muto wants his emotion back. He says outright, "I want you to give me my emotions back," and that reassures Duck to keep being Princess Tutu.
Yeah, it's also pushing Duck further down the path that Drosselmeyer seems to want her to go down. So it's hard to tell because Drosselmeyer clearly appears very villainous. It's hard to tell whether or not that request from Mito is a good thing, because Drosselmeyer seems to be pushing Duck in a good direction, right? Like, we want Mito to get his emotions back, but at the same time, it's pretty plainly apparent that he's a bad guy. So it's hard for me to really read what's going on.
Well, I think because part of it is because he's trying to get a tragic love story out of this, so he wants it to be that she accomplishes her goal, the prince gets all his emotions back, and it'll be the prince confesses to her, and in that moment she will confess, but then she'll turn into a speck of light and die, and that'll be the tragic end to the fairy tale. And I think that's what he's going for.
Yeah, but her turning into a tragic speck and dying sort of feels like some of that author's convenience that Edel was mentioning. There's no reason for her to poof, right? So
yeah, but that's what Drosselmeyer wants out of this.
Yeah, I could see that going awry for him, though. So in this episode, I think the main thing we've been sort of dancing around is that it's revealed, hey, he's back. It's revealed that Rue is the Raven, or in some way related to the Raven, at least.
Yes. I was just not gonna mention it, but Pon, his internet died for a couple minutes there. I was just not gonna mention it.
No, they should know why I suddenly became very talkative.
No, it was good. It was good. Yeah, so let's get to the new character in the show, Princess Crazy. If it wasn't, she is I love her. She is the exact opposite of Tutu. More so because Tutu, she's based off of Odette from Swan Lake, and Princess Crazy is Odile from Swan Lake, the daughter of the Raven.
So they're like the black and white swans.
Yeah, the black and white swan. Odette and Odile. Because in Swan Lake,
oh shit.
In Swan Lake,
Hey, what's up? I'm back.
Oh, yeah. Good. In Swan Lake, the prince falls in love with the white swan queen. But then, at a party that happens later, the Raven doesn't want that to happen because he wants control over her. So he takes his daughter, the black swan, gives her a human appearance, and takes her to that ball, and uses her to charm the prince, so to break the white swan's heart.
So that's why Rue is super hot, because she needs to charm Mito.
Sure.
In her swan for. Yeah, we get the reveal, but we don't really get much about like what kind of person Crazy or the Raven is.
Yeah.
I don't know
because it's the end of the episode.
Yeah, I don't know how much that reveal changes how I think of Rue as a character, though. Whether it makes me feel as though her emotion towards her treatment of Tutu is more or less genuine, or her love for Mito is more or less genuine. It's just sort of like, for me as someone who hasn't seen any more of the series, it's just sort of a thing that happened.
Yeah.
It's pretty
Well, at
hype.
the end the end of the episode, as far as we know, it seems that Rue doesn't even know that she is Princess Crazy.
But I think we get all we really need to know about Crazy just here. It's very concisely delivered. That Crazy is just kind of a petty and selfish version of Rue who doesn't want Mito to get his heart back just because he's easier to keep that way. And we also kind of get the impression that she's, like, sort of a very tragic figure, especially regarding Rue, because I noticed definitely her introduction music. It's not, like, villainous or menacing. It's just kind of sad.
Yeah, and Drosselmeyer describes her not as, like, a villain, but as a force for chaos, I think is his exact wording. Which isn't, like, you know, that just means that she's sort of, she's not necessarily evil, she's just sort of distressed. I don't know. Yeah. That's how I interpreted it.
Yeah, that's a good interpretation of it, because, she steals the emotion away from, Tutu, so, Muto doesn't get his curiosity back, but, in a way, he does, and he does have it, because he'll start questioning things a little bit more, but not to the full extent he probably would if he did get the emotion heart shard back.
Yeah, and also the reveal that Fakir is not the Raven, well, you know, I'm sure some people that aren't me saw it coming, does change how I viewed Fakir, just because I was so dead set on the idea that he was the Raven. So yeah, it's definitely.
I find that interesting. Yeah, I find that interesting that you thought that, because I never thought that.
Well, I mean, he has black hair. Come on.
Really? Oh, so you're just gonna judge people based on their blackness?
Oh no.
I think that's a perfectly reasonable judge of character.
Yeah, I'm not saying it's not, but it's I never thought that when I saw it.
This is the Loaded Statement podcast now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he was possessive of Mito, it felt like, and I mean, the character design felt very Raven-y. That's shallow, but I mean, that's generally how things play out, right? I mean, the same is true of Rue. But, yeah, I don't know. He looked like Sasuke.
Yeah, I think it's pretty obvious from the start that, Rue is a Raven.
I wasn't clear on that. Well, I don't know. I watched the Best Guy Ever video before any of this, so I kind of knew what roles everybody fell into.
Yeah.
For me,
good on you for doing your homework.
What threw me off was Rue has red eyes and Ravens have black eyes. So, like, I mean, ultimately a lot of my conclusions, my foregone conclusions, were drawn from the character designs. So that's probably why I'm being thrown for a loop. Maybe I should stop doing that.
Maybe you need to watch the other Best Guy Ever video on Galco-chan about how you shouldn't judge people based just on what they look like.
God, maybe you should watch a fucking Best Guy Ever video, because, you know, he's the greatest YouTuber to ever live.
He's really
pretty great.
Is
he's kind of
the
hot.
best guy ever.
The fucking best. You know,
more like
he's kind of
worst
hot.
gay
and, you know,
ever.
You know, I wonder what it'd be like to just maybe touch his biceps.
Straight thunder.
You know, he's kind of beef.
Guy.
Yeah, he's kind of a Chad, but you know, Chads are hot, and you know, maybe just touch
Squid
one of his
that
muscles.
He's 100% straight.
Oh, sure. You know, if you self-identify yourself as Kamina, there's no way you're fucking straight, boy. Hi, welcome to the Best Guy Ever podcast. This is what this is now.
Hi, welcome to bitch.
Welcome to Squid Thinks Nate Has a Foot-Long Dick.
No.
Welcome to the end of the podcast. It was a good couple episodes.
No, wait,
Mito's
we need Jacob to do his full fucking 2-hour analysis on Mito's nipple.
Yeah, there was a scene early on where Mito was in his bed, and we saw both his nipples, and Fakir was there, and
fucking lewd.
Yeah, it was pretty lewd. You know, it made me think that Fakir and Mito were doing the butt stuff. Let's end the show.
Welcome to the end of the podcast. It was a good couple episodes, right? What are we watching next? We're watching episodes 8, 9, and 10.
Yeah.
I don't remember exactly what happens in those episodes.
No, I
know. What?
Episode 8, The Warrior's Fountain. Episode 9, Black Shoes. And, episode 10, Cinderella. I would also like you to, if you can, watch a performance of Cinderella.
I watched Giselle.
Yeah, isn't it great?
It was real great. I would recommend it to anyone.
Speaking of Giselle, I learned the historical context of the rosemary.
Oh, really?
Yeah, in medieval times, rosemary was usually used at weddings, but it was also used at funerals.
Oh, man, and that's so thematically relevant because Giselle's about a dead woman who loved.
Yeah, and who was engaged.
So that's that's both applications of it.
Yeah.
Right there.
It was great. So this was the podcast. I'm Squid.
I'm Jacob.
And I'm Pawn.
And thank you. Please do your homework. And we'll see you next time.
I'm failing this class.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye.